Hello programmer, welcome back. In the previous lecture, in the earlier video, I have created a student management applications in which I have created one DAO class. Here I have to write some JDBC code for inserting the record. So first I have to configure some dependencies for adding the student JDBC. So let's check. I have to add two dependencies over here. First one is a Spring JDBC dependencies, and then another one is for the database S2 dependencies in the pom.xml file. And inside the Spring configuration file, I have to create two objects. First one is for the data source. This will take some argument, driver class name. This will take some argument, driver class name, URL, username, and then it will take some password also. So let me check. Open your pom.xml file. So I already opened here. Inside the pom.xml file, I have to add two dependencies. First one is Spring JDBC. So let's open your browser and then search Maven repository. Click on this link, search Spring JDBC, click on search. Okay. It will be available in the search list because I have already searched. If it is not available, you have to type manually. Click on this link, click on search, click on this link 5.3.2. Okay, select this one. It's already copied to the clipboard. Open this one, paste over here. Control A, Control Shift F. What is showing the error? I have to paste inside the dependencies. So Control X. Put here, Control V, Control A, Control Shift F for format. It's downloading from the Maven repository. And add one more dependency for the database, S2 database. Search S2, type, click on search. Okay, choose this one, S2 database engine, click this one. Open your S2 database. Where my S2 database? Let me open this. I already downloaded here, so let me open. This is our S2 database file. The version is the S2 1.4.200. So copy the same version jar file from the Maven 1.4.200. Let me copy this one, Control C. Okay, let me paste inside the dependency, Control V, Control A, Control Shift F. Delete this. Control A, Control Shift F. It's fine. It's already downloaded some dependencies from the Maven repository. Let me create two objects. It's downloaded. So let me create two objects in the Spring configuration file. So open src main java, open this student app configuration file and create the first data source object. So create public data source, get data source, create object, driver manager data source, data source is equal to new of driver manager data source. Okay, this object is created. Control Shift O for import anything. Driver manager data source, seems it's wrong. Control V paste. Return this object, return of DS, it's fine. Inside the DS I have to set some properties like driver class name, user URL, username and password. To set driver class name, double quotes, or driver class name, press Control Shift T and here search driver driver, sorry, Control Shift T, search driver, which one, org.s2, double click on it, it's implement java.sql driver, right click, copy qualified name, close this and paste over here. Okay, and add one more, let's see, URL, add URL. So URL I have to copy from the S2 database, so it's already open. Double click on it. This is our driver class name, this is our URL. Copy this, copy and paste over here. Paste, sorry, I have to set this. Set. Then set one more thing, dot set of username, Control Z, set of username, it's SA, and password is blank, so I'm not going to set the password. Mark with @bean notation. Control S. The next I have to create Spring JDBC template object, so create JDBC template, get JDBC template. This is our factory method for the JDBC template. Mark with @bean. So Spring will store in the Spring context location. Spring will be identify this object is created. It will mark with @bean. So create a JDBC template object. I'm directly written, and I'm creating the anonymous object, new JDBC template. This is new JDBC template, and here I am pasting the data source because it's required data source object on configuring with the database. So I'm getting this data source object. Okay. It's fine. Now go to your DAO class, and here I want JDBC template object for performing the database operation. So tell to the Spring inject this object by using the auto wire annotation. Auto wired, Shift O. Let me check this. If the object will be created, it will be print. Let me check first. If anything seems wrong, I have to change. From this, yeah, it's showing some error. Let me check what's the error. Exception. Okay, bean DAO unsatisfied dependency exception JDBC template org bean factory creation error name JDBC template spring configuration bean instantiation via factory. What is the reason? Root cause defined. Let me check. He could not load JDBC driver class. It's unable to load the JDBC driver class. Why? Let me check the jar files dependency. So where is the dependency inside the Maven library? It's already have the dependency. It seems it's could not load the driver class. So maybe just because of this its scope is test. So let me comment this. Let me run once again. Yeah, it's fine. Just because of this test scope in the pom.xml, it's unable to load the driver class object. So the next step is I have to write some JDBC logic over here. Comment this, not required, and write some JDBC logic. JDBC template. JDBC template class has one update method which takes two arguments. First one is a string type and then another one is object array. First argument will take the SQL query. I have to pass the SQL query in the first argument, and the second argument I have to pass the object array which have the same field. So let me create the update, not this one, control space. Update has so many methods, I am going to use this one. It will return the integer and how many record we have inserted it will return. So let me write first SQL query string, control F1, type this SQL, right. So insert query, insert into students values. This is a SQL query. Okay, I pass the column name. The column name is I think it's ID, name, and the course. Let me connect this and check. I have already created this table in the earlier video, so it has a column ID, name, and course. So let me pass this ID, name, course. Control S for save. Comma for the query parameter. This SQL I passed here. Then create one object array. Object obj equal to new of object array. And creating the anonymous. Pass s dot get id. Pass the id from the student class. S dot get name. It will return the student name. S dot get of course. Pass this object here. Control C, Control V. Put the semicolon. Catch this integer. Okay. Let me run this. go to the test, run. Oh, it's throwing some exception. Let me check what is the exception. Okay, org.spring cannot get JDBC connection exceptions. What's the reason? Failed to obtain JDBC connection nested exceptions in the ORG-S2 database JDBC, no SQL transaction connection. The reason is for that database may be already in use. The another reason is possible. The possible solution for this problem is close all the connections or use the server mode. So I am going to use the server mode for that. So let me open the Spring configuration file. Here I have to change this URL. So let me comment this URL and put the server mode URL, data source dot set URL. Okay, let me type the URL, Control Z, JDBC colon h2 colon TCP colon double slash localhost slash tilde operator slash test. Test is a database name. Control S for save. Let me run once again. Again it's showing some error. Check what is the error. Bad SQL grammar. Insert into, I forget to write the table name here, so let me correct this. Okay, go to the student DAO class, bad students, Control X, Control V, paste here, run once again. Yeah, student ID, name and Amit course, it's working fine. Let me check the database if the record is inserted or not. Select star from students. Let me run. Yeah, one Amit Java. Let me add one more record. So let me add student dot set ID of 2. Let me copy this first and change the value. Control C, Control V, change the value to suppose that JDBC. Control S. Let me check how many records are there. Select this, run this. Only one record is here. Let me run the query. Let me run this. Run. It's working fine. Showing the 2. It's working fine. Once record is inserted, let me check the database. So let me do one more thing before wrap up this. Go to your student DAO, check here if I equal to 1, then print this. One record is inserted. Okay. This JDBC template update method will return the same number how the row is inserted. means if the one row is inserted in the database, it will return 1. So let me add one more record. Copy this, control this, change the ID. Let me add some ABC, courses XYZ. Run once again. Yeah, one record is inserted, it's working fine.